Hello everyone and welcome to this new edition of Business Africa. I'm Amelnga. This week, we'll look at the business that makes big money in Somalia, the new online market that generates hundreds of jobs every year. The rubber market in Côte d'Ivoire, a sector that is becoming weaker and less promising with the fall in its prices on the world market. And then in Morocco, faced with economic difficulties, a mother started vending food using a motorcycle in the streets of Casablanca. It's an increasingly competitive market, and despite the war, Somalia's online market is doing well. The country is witnessing a proliferation of e-commerce companies. Such is the case of Soomar Online Market, one of the most successful startups in the country, which reaches 500,000 commercial transactions each month. Mike Dibier tells us more.
Online businesses create a new virtual market in one-town Somalia, creating more jobs and easing business transactions. After more than 2 decades of war, Somalia, located in the Horn of Africa, is recuperating and making more progress in many aspects with online business startups. Launched in December 2016, Soomar Online Market is one of the most successful online business startups in Somalia. At the beginning, our sales were very low, but now we make 500,000 business transactions per month. Soomar sells different items online and delivers them to customers. The online business uses local mobile money transfer services. By using online business platform, I bought a camera and a tripod from Soomar. The items were delivered and brought to my house. Motorbikes are the only method for delivering the sold items. By utilizing the internet technology, online businesses are booming and bring about an economic growth in East African nations. We get more advantages from online commerce because people gain income from operating these kinds of businesses and the government generates tax revenues, therefore the economy grows. According to International Labour Organization, Somalia is one of the countries with highest unemployment rates in the world.
It's the 7th largest producer of natural rubber in the world, yet Côte d'Ivoire has difficulty selling its produce today. The country is facing a global overproduction, and the direct consequences are a decrease in the individual incomes of rubber farmers. These farmers also protest against taxes levied by the state. Nyasha Mutizwa has the details.
Ivory Coast is no longer the producer of natural rubber that it used to be. The price of this raw material has dropped from $5,000 per ton in 2011 to $1,000 at present.
I can say that the rubber planter is getting poorer because the price dropped from 1,000 francs now to 200 francs. If the price went from 1,000 francs to 1,100 or 1,200, I could say the opposite. But it falls and we get poorer.
In addition to the dangers of production, a government tax of 5% on turnover was introduced in 2011, and since then, the country's machining capacity has been reduced and it can no longer handle national production.
To enable us to absorb the overproduction of rubber, we need tax exemptions on the importation of equipment to allow our factories to increase our machining capacity.
Ivory Coast produces 60% of Africa's rubber and ranks 7th in the world. It reached 603,000 tons in 2017 against 468,000 in 2016. The forecast for 2018 is 720,000 tons.
For more on this, I'm joined on the line by the president of the Association of Natural Rubber Professionals of Côte d'Ivoire, APROMAC, Eugène Malak-Crémien, speaking from Grantalo in Côte d'Ivoire. Hello and welcome.
Hello, Mum, and thank you for having me on Africanews.
Mr. Crémien, we have heard some farmers say that rubber trees were still considered a plant of hope a few years back. Yet today we are seeing despair. Put this development in context for us precisely.
It is true that in Côte d'Ivoire today, the rubber industry is experiencing difficulties. Since 2013 to 2014, prices have not stopped falling to the point that we've lost almost 60 to 70% of the value of our raw material. But let me say that a well-organized producer should be able to balance his operations. The essential thing for the modern farmer today is to be able to save. One should save when costs are good and also do same when costs go down in order to be able to survive.
You mentioned this tax by the government that does not improve things. What measures or actions should the authorities take to restore the situation as in 2011, for example, where a ton cost $5,000?
We've made concrete proposals to the government. For instance, the 5% tax which has been imposed on industrialists must be done away with. This is the first conditions for discussions. Also, the government has said that it wants agricultural products to undergo initial processing before they are exported. Rubber is one of the government's priorities, and we believe that the government will accept our proposals to process 100% of the raw materials before they are used. To do this, there are tax exemptions that the government will have to grant to the sector.
While you're waiting for these solutions, in the short or long term, it seems that production will increase. What will be the impact on the future of farmers or even the sector?
As president of the sector, I've already brought together all the industrialists, so they can agree to receive the entire production. But I think we won't be able to go beyond 3 months if the government does not step in. We won't be able to accept all production beyond 3 months. You're talking about producers, but the investor is an essential link within the chain. If an investor loses money, he will not come to invest in Côte d'Ivoire. If an Ivorian wants to invest and has no hope of making his operation profitable, he will not do so.
Finally, we know that you would like to see a local transformation of this production. What are the obstacles to the realization of this?
So already we are at the first transformation, and I can tell you that taxes are overwhelming and they burden us. It is up to the government to have the political will to do what must be done here in Côte d'Ivoire. Measures will have to be taken to support Ivorian investors and all industry players in this direction. But if at the first instance we are burdened and cannot even make ends meet, then, Ma'am, I tell you, it's of major concern. My dream, as most Ivorians, is to see an Ivorian rubber production in our factories. And this should not be a vain dream.
Thank you, Eugene Melan-Cremien, for answering our questions.
You thanks, and we're always available for you when necessary.
I'd like to remind you that he is the president of the Association of the Natural Rubber Professionals in Côte d'Ivoire, APROMAC. We take a short break. Just after, we'll see the daily resilience put up by Zubaida Al-Manzali, a Moroccan mother in the face of economic difficulties. I'll see you in a bit.